Welcome to SolarSTEAM here at SIU Carbondale. I am Adam Gunther, and I am here with
Kevin Morefield.
And what is your profession?
Well, I'm technically retired, but I spend about the same amount of time you'd spend on a job doing astrophotography.
So what exactly is astrophotography?
Well, it's using cameras with telescopes to take pictures of, in my case, deep sky objects, but I also like to do eclipses.
Okay. What got you into this particular area of photography or art?
Well, it's good. It's both art and science, by the way. But, you know, I was in photography and astronomy when I was a kid. Went through school here at SIU, and I got a degree in photography, but didn't end up doing it for a living. And after 30 years of working in finance, I decided I wanted to do this.
That is a very big career difference between a degree in photography to finance.
Yeah, it is for sure. But, you know, the last couple of years of working in finance, I found myself sitting with a computer editing my astro photos and figured it was time to kind of move on and do it almost full time.
So you take things like eclipses. What other things in deep space are that can be photographed?
Well, galaxies, nebula, globular clusters, you know, just anything like that out there.
I'm a media arts.
Right.
Physics is not something I'm well versed in. What are these things you're speaking? You know, nebula and.
Well, a nebula is sort of gases usually or dust in space. It's lit up either by an emission or by some reflection from a nearby star. A galaxy is a group of stars that are all rotating around each other, much like our Milky Way. And then sometimes you have these star clusters that are just big globes of glowing stars. It's all very beautiful.
Oh, wow, okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, we were actually just talking about this before we started. This is actually an image of yours that we use for our very logo here.
Yeah, it turned out I looked over my shoulder and I'm like, hey, that looks familiar. I remember that.
So what exactly is it that we're looking at here? I mean, it's a solar eclipse, but like what?
Yeah, this is the corona from the total solar eclipse. I saw this one in Western Australia in 2023. So we had a nice round corona with, you know, the filaments shooting off this way, and there's a little prominence right here that you can see. It would be red, but we're in black and white.
Yeah. Speaking of solar eclipses, are you going to be doing anything with the solar eclipse that's going to be happening in Europe in August?
Yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to quit working and do this more frequently, or all the time, I guess, is I want to see all the eclipses. They're really special experiences. It's a great way to see the world sort of come together and experience something, you know, everything being good and positive and everybody happy with the same goal. So Spain is next year in August, and I will definitely be there, just somewhere south of the North Coast.
Okay. And then there's one, I believe, in 2027 in Northern Africa.
Yes, I'm going to be in Egypt for that one, in Luxor.
Okay, and that one's going to experience about how much of total? I know that one's got a significant more time in Spain.
It's very long. I can't remember if it's 6 or 7 minutes where I'm going to be. It's one of the longest ones.
Oh, wow. So that's going to be one of those once-in-a-lifetime kind of, if you get to experience it.
You know something? I've seen long ones and short ones. The shortest is 27 seconds, and it was one of the best.
Really?
Yeah, well, what happens is, you know, the moon is a little smaller on the short ones. That's why it's short. It passes more quickly in front of the sun, but what it means is you get to see prominences all the way around it all at once.
Okay.
And I really like the short ones, in part because you get to see prominences all the way around it, but Bailey's beads are actually larger and more prominent as well, and I think sometimes the diffractions that you see on the ground, the moving waves that you see just before and after, I think those are sharper as well.
Okay. So with astrophotography, you said it's not only science, it's also art. What do we learn from astrophotography? Like, what is it that you bring from a scientific standpoint?
Well, sometimes we amateurs do work with professionals as well. I've worked with a guy who hunts for planetary nebula, which are stars nearing the end of their life, stars like our sun. And we have a little catalog of discoveries. There's only 2 in there so far, but you get to name them. So it's Patrick Morefield 1 and Patrick Morefield 2.
Okay.
But the thing that amateurs can bring to the table is that we have unlimited time. So we can shoot our images for thousands of hours when we group together. And there's a lot of groups that are doing that, where you'll get 10, 20, 30, 40 amateurs with large telescopes and just shoot forever on these things. And so you can actually go deeper than the big telescopes, because you can't get thousands of hours of time on a huge telescope or Hubble or something like that. So it's a niche where amateurs can still take part.
I look at it from the the art standpoint. I've taken the liberty of looking at some of your stuff that you have on your website, and they're gorgeous photos. I don't know the scientific behind it. What is it that we learn from the eclipses then, with the photography, like what you were explaining? What do we learn from?
Well, I don't approach the eclipses from a science standpoint. SIU is doing a very good job of that already with citizen science projects. Personally, for me, it's a great way to travel because it's like spin a globe, close your eyes, and put your finger down, and that's where you go. And so I've been to the polar Arctic in March. I've been to tiny little atolls in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, Antarctica with these things, the outback of Australia. And it's just one of the best ways to experience the world and then see something amazing and beautiful and do it with tens, hundreds, or thousands of people that are feeling the same thing.
So if you chose to do this after 30 years in finance, I'm assuming leading up to this you had already dabbled a little bit and played around with astrophotography?
Not really.
Not really.
So what happened was I was planning on the eclipse up in Svalbard for 2015, and I didn't really have an appropriate camera because I wanted to take pictures of it. So I ordered a camera, a Canon with a telephoto lens. Immediately went outside the day it arrived and took a picture of the moon, and I was just, oh my God, I can see craters. What would happen if I put this on a tracking mount and maybe tried to take a picture of, say, the Andromeda Galaxy? And so I had to buy a mount, of course, and put it on there, and then it was just amazing what you could see now as opposed to the last time I thought about it when I was a kid, because today in the backyard we can take pictures way better than the professional equipment took even 20 years ago, and that's just amazing.
And so this really is something that's like feasible for somebody to get into if they're like either new to photography or just astrophysics in general. Absolutely.
Well, it used to be when I first got started, it was a bit expensive and that was prohibitive. But things have come down dramatically. There's a company out there, I'll throw a name out, which is ZWO, which started selling much, much cheaper equipment. And you can start doing this for a few $1,000s now and do it in your backyard with certain filters. And if you're ready to move on now, you can even put your telescope in an observatory now and work it remotely for between $150 and $200 a month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's very approachable now.
So if you were to start out in something like this, what would be something that you would suggest starting with? Would it be the moon or something further?
Well, the first thing is equipment, right? And so you start with whatever you've got. So if you've got a digital camera, and you can even use your phone, honestly, these days to get some things. I mean, the moon is very, very easy. If you've got any kind of a telephoto, you're going to resolve craters. And then you've got planets if you've got a telescope that you can do. Not a lot of equipment is really needed to shoot that and actually see the rings of Saturn or something like that in your images. And then the next step up is you get a mount that will actually track the night sky. And it just goes incrementally up until you've got an enormous telescope in Chile.
Okay, I'm guessing that
is right.
That's okay.
Yes.
So where do you house? So is that the only one you have, or do you have more than just that?
Well, I have two observatory locations where I rent space in the observatory. In New Mexico, up on a mountain at about 8,000 feet, is a smaller telescope where I can see the northern hemisphere. And then I have a large one down in Chile in the Atacama Desert, not too far from Vera Rubin. I can actually stand up my telescope and see Vera Rubin on the next ridge, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow, that does sound pretty cool. So what exactly, what is on your website? Do you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, on kevinmorefield.com, my website is some of my photography. I need to get it updated. There's another site out there called Astrobin where I post stuff on a pretty regular basis, and also Instagram. The handle's Morefield for that. But it's just some of my favorite images: galaxies, nebula, some comets. I like to shoot comets too.
Speaking of, how often do we have comets that come around? I mean,
yeah, it's interesting you ask, because it sure seems to me like it's much more often. It seems like there's been a naked eye one almost every year now for a few years. And there's one, it's right now in the sky. It might be a naked eye in the next couple of weeks. Can't remember the name right off the top of my head. But unfortunately, when it comes around the sun and it hit its brightest, it's going to be in the southern hemisphere. So good for me and my telescope, not so good for you. But yeah, they're pretty common now.
With these observatories, is it better to be in... Because I know, like, if you're out in the country, you can see all the stars. If you're in the city, you don't see anything.
Yeah.
Where do you plan for your observatories?
Yeah.
Or does that even factor in?
Well, I mean, if you're looking for a site, what's the best site for doing this, if that's a question?
Yeah.
Well, you want it to be dark. It doesn't have to be the darkest spot in the world. Some of the expensive observatories you can put your equipment in are not much darker than rural Illinois here. But what they generally have is very good seeing, and that means the air is very stable. So the stars don't twinkle very much. They look a little bit more like the planets where they don't twinkle. And what that means is the air is not moving the star around. And what that means then is you can magnify it more and still see the detail. Because of course the reason Hubble is so sharp is because it's outside the atmosphere.
Okay.
So what we try to find is the atmosphere that has the least impact. So the most transparent and the most still.
Okay. So is there anything else that you would like to leave us with today, or any words of wisdom?
Just, don't be intimidated. If you see these kind of pictures and you really like them and it feels like something you'd like to do, go for it. There's usually a local club, and almost all of them have got astrophotography people in there. They can help you get started. Some of them can actually loan you equipment. There's a lot of help on YouTube. You can go to Astrobin and see the kinds of images that can be made and what equipment it takes and how much it costs. So if it sounds like fun, it is. Go for it.
All right, thank you very much. Well, we've had Kevin Morefield here with us at SolarSTEAM, Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. Thank you for tuning in. For more information on Kevin, you can visit his website, Kevin Morefield.
At kevinmorefield.com or astrobin/users/Morefield or Instagram at Morefield.